Okay, in the last session, I was just telling you about the exception handling. I was just giving the basic introduction to the exception handling. We said what is an exception? We said it's a runtime error, or what you call it's an unseen error in a program. So generally, the errors are going to be what? So based maybe on your syntax, maybe on your syntaxes, or maybe the errors maybe as a part of your code. But when you talk about the exceptions, exceptions are the one which are the unseen errors that may generate because of so many different things. Like, for example, let us say when I'm writing my application, let us say I'm writing an application to connect to my database. So when I'm connecting to my database, when I'm designing my application, I'll make sure that all my connections to my database and everything are being available. And then I write my code. But let us say in the real time, right? Once you design the application, you are giving it to somebody else, then maybe some problem is there with the server, that is maybe with your database server, you are not able to connect to the database. Now that is said to be an exception, or that is said to be an unseen condition. Then what I need to do with, then that code is going to be written by us, like what you have to do it if the if the database connection is not available, what you have to do. So that coding you're going to write it. So that alternate coding is what you call the exception handling, we call it as. Okay, so we're talking about the different keywords that are being used for us. Okay, try, catch, finally, throw, and throws we talked about. Now let us see how this throw is going to be used. Before we talk about the throw there, so we'll talk about something what we call user-defined exceptions. So we have the user-defined. So we have the user-defined exceptions. Speaker of Jabber. Okay, so we now discuss about the user-defined exceptions. So what is these user-defined exceptions means? You're going to have your own way of handling the exceptions. For example, let us say if the user is entering some marks, or the user is entering some salary details, is typing in. So I want to check that what the salary details is entering it. Is it the proper data is given to me or not? For example, let us say that you are trying to enter a negative salary. Now, I don't want to accept the negative salary. I want to generate an error there. Then I can have my own exception can be defined. So where it is going to generate the error for the user and is going to show to the user. So how we are going to create the user defined exceptions means, so you need to create your own class. Okay, let us say that I'm using a class called myEx, I'm using it. So this class, you need to extend it from the class called exception class. When you talk about your own class, okay, when you're defining your own class, you're going to use a base class, what you call exception class, we are going to use as a base. Okay, now create your own class, whatever the class you want it. It is a user defined class. It's a user defined class. Okay, where we say that this class extends the base class called the exception class. Now remember, exception is a predefined class for us in our Java. Like as we have seen yesterday, we were catching. We were using it in the catch block. We are writing it. Catch EX, catch EE. We wrote that. Okay, that is your base class there. So exception is your base class. Okay, now you need to create your own class has to be created from the class called exception class. You'll be using it. Then, okay, based upon the name of the class, what you're going to do, you can also have a constructor can be there. We can have a constructor. Okay, based upon your requirement, you can have the parameterized constructor, or you can have constructor without any parameter. That is your wish. Okay, so that depends upon how you are going to write the defining. You're going to have the class definition. You're going to have it, right? Okay, now let's see how we do it. We'll take one example. So we'll go to our Eclipse now. So in my Eclipse, I'm trying to create a class there. I'll create. A class. Okay, let's see. I'm going to create a class called my exception. Okay, or let us say that you want to define a class called salary exception or something like name, whatever name you want to have it. So I'm going to define a class called salary exception. Okay, this class extends the base class called exception class. It is a part of the LANG package only. So you need not to import anything there. If you need to import it, it will automatically give you the exceptions. I mean, the red line will be saying it, indicating that that does not exist. Okay, you need to do the import statements has to be written for that. Okay, now, so in this one, you'll be writing the code now. What you want to handle, that code you want to handle it. Now, let us say that you're going to generate. Before I discuss more on this one, let us see now. You're going to read the salary. Okay, let us say that I'll take a variable called sal. Okay, oh, I'll take the double value, I'll take it. Okay, I'll take a variable called salary. First, we'll see the scenario, then we'll see how to call the exception we have to call it. So for this, what I'm doing is I'm calling my scanner class, I'm going to use it. I'm creating the object from the scanner class. Then using the scanner class, I want to read the data. So what I'm doing is SAL object is equal to we have taken a variable called SC object dot next double. I'm going to write it. Okay, I've called the next double method I've called to read the value there. Now here I'll check the condition if sal value is less than 0. Okay, it cannot be, you can based upon your requirement, you can have it as 0 or it can be greater than 0. But if it is less than 0 for me, I don't want to accept that one. So I want to generate the exception. Generally, what you people do is we'll be writing the code what. So simple one I want to write invalid salary data. Okay, invalid salary data. You'll be giving it a salary value, whatever you want to give it. The message can be given there. That's how we write it, right? So instead of we writing the code like this, what we can do is we can throw the exception. We can throw it out. Now the same what is there, you code you're writing it. The same code, I'll just copy that. Now the same message I want to display now. Now comes the question where I want to show that message. So that message I want to show it in the exception part. As a part of the exception, I want to throw that one. So then what I do is here I want to throw that exception, right? Okay. So what I do is I'll say throw. Okay, that exception I want to call it new. I give an exception name called salary exception. Throw the salary exception. Now, if I just say simply like this, throw the salary exception. Now, this is going to call the object now for me. The salary exception object is going to be called. And now in this one, so I'm writing a message called system.out.println. Okay, I'm writing a message called system.out.println. Now this message, what you call the system.out.println, sorry, the message I want to return it, right? So what is the message I want to return? Now invalid exception, sorry, invalid salary data, something that message has to be written. So this data, I'll write it in the return in the toString method. I'll make use of my public static, sorry, public. I'll make use of my toString method. Okay, I'm defining my toString method there. So in the toString method, I want to return that value. I'll say return. So this data I want to return in my toString method. So when I say that we are going to create the object there, okay, throw new exception when I'm giving it. Now that message will be thrown for us. Now what we do is when I'm going to have the throw is going to be there. I need to handle that one in my try block. I'll call the try block to handle that code. Then inside this, I'll write the catch now. So catch What is the exception that we want to catch now? It is going to throw me the salary exception error is going to be thrown. Now that we need to call that exception has to be handled by you. Okay. Salary exception, some object, EX I am writing it. Now here, so in this one, I want to print the message there. System.out. So I want to print that message now. Okay, println. So what is that message? That message is given by my class there. So that EX, I'm just calling to print the method called EX there. So let us see how it's going to work for me. Now let's see how it's going to work for us. So what we have done is we have created okay, let's run it. So we didn't give the message to type the value. I'll just say the message here. Okay, type the. I'll just give a message, type the salary. Okay, once I'm giving the salary, it's going to read the value. Okay, now I'm writing my code in the try block. If there is anything wrong is there, then it's going to generate the exception. If there is no wrong is there, nothing wrong. So I want to print it out on the screen, the salary value. System.out.println. So salary value I want to print on screen. Okay, let's run the code. Now it'll ask me type the salary message. I'm just giving the value 1000 there. I press enter. Now it's going to print me the salary. Now let us run it once again. I'll give a value, a minus value I'll give it. Okay, minus 1000 I'm giving. Okay, 1000 I'm giving it. Now once I give this minus 1000, you see that it's what? Invalid salary data it's going to print for me. So we got this message where? So from this one. So we are writing the code here in the exception part for us. We are generating the exception, we are throwing the exception, throw new salary exception we said. Okay, what is that salary exception? So that message you are asking it to return in your toString method. So you are writing the toString method. We have seen already that when we are going to use the toString method, so the toString method will be called whenever you are trying to print the string information of that particular object. Now here this is what is happening is I'm calling my system.out.println and I'm using EX. So EX, you're trying to print this object data. So what you have done it, you have written the code, you have written the string value indicating that invalid string data. No, okay. So you understood here what we did?
EX అనేది మనం ఎక్కడ క్రియేట్ చేసాం సార్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ రైట్ బ్లాక్ లో త్రో న్యూ సాలరీ ఎక్సెప్షన్ ఉంది అక్కడ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ పేరు లేదు.
This object salary exception EX is there. So here the object is going to be created for you. Now here already you are calling the throw new there. The object is created here. Okay, throw new salary exception you are given it. So this object will be taken as a reference for this variable what you call EX. The object will be taken into this variable called EX, and then it will try to print me the value of that EX variable. You understand? You are throwing the new exception, you are throwing it. What is that exception you are throwing? New salary exception you are given. Now this throw new exception is there, right? This is caught in the catch block. So this EX variable is created here for me in the new. Then that object reference is given to the EX. Then you are asking to print the value of EX there. Now let us say that I want to customize my the salary exception class. I want to make the customization of that one. That means I want to change the message. So I want to have different message. I want to have it. Sometimes let's say you want to print me the message that salary cannot be negative value. Sometimes you cannot say it's too high, or you want to print a message like too low, the salary is too low. Something like that messages you want to have the customization. Then what I do is I'll write the code here in my this one. when I'm going to throw the exception, I'll ask you to throw the exception with some message. Now let us say that salary cannot be negative. I want to give it salary cannot be negative. The message I want to give is salary cannot be negative. I want to give the message. But when I want to give that message now here, now it says that, so it says that you cannot have this value cannot be there. Now this message what you are giving, that should be handled, that should be received by your program. Now that is what you are defined. So the salary exception class is there, right? So for which you are passing some data here. Now we know that whenever you are creating an object and we are passing the data is going to be received by the constructor class. The constructor method is going to receive that value for me. Then, so I'm supposed to define the constructor here. Okay, I'm defining the constructor. Now remember, when you're talking about your constructor, we know that the name of the class will be same as your, the method name will be same as your class name. Okay, now we are passing a string as an argument there. I'm defining my string there. Okay, string, some variable you can make use of it. I'll just make use of a variable called MSG here. Okay, I'm receiving that message into my MSG variable. Okay, so I'm defining now this data. I want to store into this MSG variable. So what I do is I'll say this dot MSG is equal to MSG. That is what the message you are giving it to the constructor that I'm putting into my class variable. That is my instance variable. And now that data I want to return it. So instead of giving the message there, I'll ask you to return MSG. Right? Now let's see this. Okay, now let's run the code. Now I'm giving a value. It's -1000 I'm giving it. So the salary cannot be negative, it says. Now let us say that you're trying to give a zero value. Assume that we want to have a concept where we don't want to accept the zero value. Now I'll write that one also. Okay. So here I'll take one more condition I'll take. So what is the condition now? If salary is 0. Okay, if it is double equal to 0, I want to throw same exception I'll be throwing, but message should be different for me. So salary cannot be 0. I want to show the message. Okay, I'm just giving a message. Salary cannot be 0 there. Now let us run the code and check. So what's going to be there for me? Now I'm giving the value. It's -1000. Okay, -100 is it gives me negative. It cannot be negative. Now I'm entering the zero value. It gives me the message salary cannot be 0. So I'm throwing through different types of exceptions I'm trying to throw there. So one exception when the value is less than 0. Another exception I'm throwing it when value is going to be 0 for me. Right? Yeah. Right, but not two different messages raw kada. So negative value. I want to write two different messages. Two different messages. For two different messages, we are writing like that. Okay. So you can write as you wish. The code, you can write it less than or equal to 0, you can write. But I want to have two different messages. That's the reason I have taken one is less than 0, other one is equal to 0. Right? Understood that? Like that. So this is how you're going to do what? You can have the customized messages can also be printed. Understood? So messages can be customized. Understood now? So for doing the customization of the message, what I'm doing, so I'm just passing the message to my exception class. So when I'm calling my exception class, when I say throw the new exception there, along with the exception, I'm giving some message. But remember, when you're going to create the object and you're passing some data, that data has to be received in the constructor part. So that's why what we did is we defined a constructor. So where the constructor is going to receive my value for me. That value is going to be received by my constructor there. Now, so I'm writing a toString method so that when I'm trying to print the object data here, okay, it is going to print me the data that what you're going to give it in my toString method. So we are customizing the toString method also we have customized it, right? Like that. Now, if you want to print, okay, the salary also you want to show on screen, then what you can do? So it cannot be negative. So you can also pass that string there. So plus sal you can write. Okay, when I say that plus sal, it's going to print me the salary value also. Then let's run it and check. No, I'm just giving minus 100. I'm giving. So it's going to give me salary cannot be negative. It's going to show me the minus value there. Okay, I run my code there. So I'm now giving the salary value as 0. I'm giving it. It says it cannot be 0. Right? So you can do the customization, Ken Mitton, as you wish. You can do the customization. Okay. Understood? So that is how you are going to write the code for your own exceptions for us. Okay. You will not get the error because the value is greater than 0. So you will not get, if I'm giving 0.1, that error will not come for us. 0. I'm giving 0.1. You see that? You're not getting the error there. So error, we are not getting it. Okay. 0.1 cannot be accepted. It will be giving you the error there. If I'm not taking double value, if I'm taking integer value, you cannot enter a double value. That itself will be a different exception. What is that exception we'll be getting? We'll be getting another exception. What? The number format mismatch. Number format will be mismatch for us. Okay, like that. Okay. Now remember here one more thing. So when I'm writing my exceptions here, I'm writing one try block. I'm writing multiple catch blocks can also be written for us. We can write the multiple catch blocks. For example, let us see the condition what you're talking about. Now what I'm doing is, so I'm writing my integer sal. I'm writing it. Okay. So instead of using double value, so we'll take next int will take it. So it's going to give me the integer value. Now let's run the code now. Now what I am doing is here I'm trying to enter the value 100.0. I'm giving it. Now here what happens? Now this is going to generate me the exception, that is input mismatch. So input mismatch exception is coming for me. Now I want to handle that exception then. Then one catch block you're writing. You can write one more catch block can be written for the same try block. Catch. So what is that I want to have? That no input mismatch exception. Okay, I'll write input mismatch. Input mismatch exception it is. Okay, input mismatch exception. I'll take another object. Okay, let me use same example using. Now here, okay, fine. So I want to give a message now. So system.out.println. I'm just giving the object ex I'm trying to print. Now, if you see there, so input mismatch exception, it is going to give me what? It is giving a red wavy line for it. Now comes the question, why is that red wavy line is coming for me? Let us highlight that one. So let us highlight that one and check what is the problem with that. Maybe undachundapochu. Chuddam mano what is exactly it is. Now this is its input mismatch exception. It says I'm placing my mouse pointer over there. Now let us understand what it's. Now you see that it says the exception cannot be resolved to a type there. Maybe it is available for you in the part of java.util. So we are having one package called java.util package, right? So that you have to import it. Now how do you fix that? I need to write that import java.util. Okay, exception I have to write. So what is that? Control Shift O I'm using it. Now it's going to fix me that error is being fixed. It has added that mismatch exception has been added there, which is a part of your util package. Understood? Okay, I'll just run this code now. Now I will enter 10.01. I'm entering it. Now you see, it is saying what? Mismatch exception.
కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ లోకి వెళ్ళాలి అసలు వాల్యూ అనేది కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ మీద
Mm-hmm.
క్యాష్ బ్లాక్ లో ఉండేది కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ లో ఉండాలన్నారు వేరియబుల్ కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ లో ఉండాలన్నారు.
That is a built-in exception now. The class is built in for us. So you need not to write anything for that one. So you'll be writing the code only for your exception. For your own exceptions only, you'll be writing the code in the constructor part and all that. Okay. So here I'm asking to catch that exception now here. Okay, I'll do one thing and I'll paste that exception will be on the top first. So first I'm catching the input mismatch exception and then I'm catching the salary exception. So let's run. So I'm just giving the value 10.1 I'm giving it. So line number 10, we are getting the error. Fine, it is. Okay, the problem is what? We have written that next int we are placed it outside the try block. So I'll just put that one inside the try block. I am putting it. Now let's run the code. So I'm just giving 10.1. Now you see that just message has come for me. So what is that message? I'll just give that message what I want to print on screen. So it is invalid data. Okay, oh fine, invalid input, good, right? So invalid input I am giving it. So the message is invalid input should come for me, right? Okay, let me run. So I'm giving 10.1, I'm giving it. Now it says invalid input, it says, right? So we are customizing our message. So we don't want that message to be printed what is being given by Java. So when that message will be printed by Java, when I'm not handling that exception, when I'm not handling the exception, so what Java will be doing is Java will give that message and then comes out of it. No, I don't want that message to come. I want to have my own message. Then what I'm doing, I'm writing catch. I'm writing a catch there and followed with some message I'm giving it. Now it's going to do the exception. My message will be printed there. Now let us say that you are entering the values 10 is okay. The correct value you are going to enter, that is the input format is going to be okay for you. Then I press enter. Now you see salary 10, it's going to print. Okay. So if I'm giving, based upon that, you can write your own coding. See, remember, for one catch try block, you can have multiple catch blocks can be written by you. For one try, I'm writing a try block. So inside the try block, I'm doing some activity. So based upon what the exception is going to be generated, it will be catching the different exceptions. So for one try block, you can write multiple catch blocks can be written. Similarly, you can also write the nested try blocks can be written. That is, you can write a try block inside another try block you can write. Okay, like that also you can write, no problem. But so if the error is not handled by the inner block, that is my inner try block is not handled, it will be escalated to the outer catch block. Okay, the message can be handled when the error can be handled in the outer catch block. That depends upon your code, how you are going to write that. So one has to remember is what we can write the nested try block can be written. That is, inside a try block, I can have one more try block can be written. For that try block, you can write a catch block. Okay, like that. For one try block, you can have multiple catch blocks can also be written. So we can have, but finally block can be only one for us. Finally block is going to be only one. For one try block, you'll have one finally block. Okay, like that. So finally is a block which is going to be executed what? Error and no error condition. Both the error condition and no error condition, both for commonly it is going to execute the finally block for us. That we have seen in the last class. Okay. Yeah. So any other questions? So let me revise you once again what we did with the user-defined exceptions. So in case of your user-defined exceptions, what we are doing, we are creating our own class. We are creating it. Any name you can define it for it. Okay. With the class is basically extended from the class called exception class. Now remember, the exception is a base class. Okay, and your salary exception is going to be acting as your child class for me. So this child class you are going to create it from this class called exception class. In this one, you are defining the constructors you are going to define it for handling the message. If you are going to pass some data to the object, so that data has to be received by the constructor. So for that, you are defining the constructor there. right? For example, here we have done it. So salary exception, salary cannot be 0. I'm giving two different messages, like salary cannot be 0, salary cannot be negative, like that I'm writing it. So two different messages. I want to have messages, I want to have different messages then. So I'm writing that. So that message, I want to return it as a part of the toString class. So I'm going to have the toString method is there. So in my toString method, I want that message to be printed. So I'm defining the toString method in which I'm asking to return the MSG variable value. I'm going to define it. Okay. Now that message will be printed for you. So whenever you're going to have the catch block is going to be called now. So when the try in this what we have done, we are returning condition salary less than 0. Then you're asking to throw the salary exception, so negative value. Then it comes to the catch block. So this is the catch block where we are writing the salary exception. Now this value what you have written there in a toString method, that will be printed here as a part of the EX object. So is it necessary for me to have the object called EX means? No, not necessary that you should be defining the object called EX. You can write any object name, you can have it. Okay. The variable name that what you're defining is your wish. Variable can be of your wish, right? Okay. So what are the rules for the variables? You just looked in. Now I'm writing E1 as my variable, but remember you cannot have the variable as 1E. Yes, it should not start with the numbers there. Okay. It should not start with the numbers. Right. Okay, done it is right. Okay. So this is what we're talking about, the exception part for us. Okay. Yeah. Now let's move on with, you revise once. Okay. You revise the concepts. Then you have any difficulties, we'll discuss more on that. And again, we'll discuss about the exception handling. Again, we'll come back to the exception handling. All right. Now let's move on to a new topic. What you call files. Okay. So files, what is a file for us? Okay. It's nothing but it's a collection of data for us. It's a collection of data. So you are having some data is going to be there. That data we are going to put it into a file for us. Now, when you say that it's a file, as you are saying that it's a collection of data, we have different types of files are going to be there. Okay, we have the types of files. So what are the different types that we come across? Generally, we say it's a text file, document files. Maybe that is your MS Word file, you call it a doc file. So you have your PPTs are going to be there, a PPT file. Okay. Or we have more important one is your Java file, your source file, right? The program that you're going to write, it's a source file. Remember, your text Java file is nothing but it's a text file. It's only a text file for me. Your Java file is nothing but a text file. Okay. We have the PDF files are going to be there. Okay. We have the binary files will be there. Right. So generally binary files will be unreadable format. So when you talk about the files, we have what? Readable and unreadable format. So readable for the human, unreadable for the human. So maybe whatever you talk about, maybe it's a readable for the human or unreadable for human. It both are going to be stored for us in our system for us. Okay. Generally, when you say human readable format means what? So when I could see the content over there. When I'm going to type it, I'll see the content. It's to be human readable. If the content is not readable by human, you call it the yes. Generally, it will be 1 zeros or maybe some other format will be saying it. Okay, formatted text will be having it. That's going to be an unreadable text for the humans. Now, if I want to you make use of the files, I want to read a file, the content of a file, I want to use it. In Java, we are having a predefined class. I'm having a predefined class called file. I'm having one predefined file is there, a class called file class is there. So that will help me to get the file, the different count. I mean, let's say that you want to know the file exists or not, okay, or what type of file it is and all that. For that, you're going to use a class called file class. You're going to use it. How I'm going to use this one means I'll be writing file the object is equal to new file. I'll be writing it. And when I say new file, and then I need to give the name of my file. What is the name of your file that you want to check? Okay. So with this file class, I'll be using it. Now remember, this file class has different methods are going to be there for me. It has some methods. Okay, it has some methods for us. What are the methods I have it there? So we have the methods like size. Sorry. Okay, we have a method called isFile. IsFile, it's a method, it returns me, it is a file or not. The name that you are given, it's a file or not. See, generally when I talk about them, so we have the file is going to be there and one more is going to be there called folder is going to be there. Both are going to be there. And now, okay, when I say that it's a file or not, it gives me a Boolean value indicating it is a file or not. It gives me a Boolean value. Similarly, we have one method is there called isDirectory. I have a method called isDirectory. Okay, this method is again, it's a Boolean method for me. Okay, which is going to return me, it's a directory or not, right? Then, so we have the methods like get absolute path. So we have a method called a get absolute path. So this method is going to give me the string value. So we'll see one example, then we'll talk more on that. Now, okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just making it the same class, I'm going to use it. So I'll make it of a class called file, some object, new file I'm going to give it. And then I'm trying to give a file name called test dot. Okay, let me use a name called Java, test.java. It will check all the files there, no issues there. Now I want to know the file is there or me or not. So I'm writing system dot out dot println or print, you can call the print or println method. So I want to print the file exists or not for me. File exist or found or not. Okay, if the file is found or not, I want to tell that. So then, so I'll write the f1 object dot, I'll be calling the method called exist. I'll use a method called exist. So when I say exist, it returns me a Boolean value indicating that the file is there or not. Okay, it's a true or not, it will be returning for me. But remember, when you talk about this file class, the file class is available for me under the package called IO package. So you have to write, okay, java.io.file, you have to write. The input method has to be called in. I'm not using this. I just remove, okay. I want to auto fix it. I'll just Control-Shift-O I'll use. It is going to fix my unused import statements, unused classes. It will be removing it for me, okay? Right. Now I don't want to work with this one class, so I'll remove this one class also. I'll remove it. Okay, I'm just trying to write this. Okay, let's run the code and check what it's going to tell. It says file found, it says false. The file called test.java is not there, so it's giving me the message saying that not found. Now here, what the file name I'm giving, it is going to search for me in my current working directory. So where you are working in the current folder, where you are working, it is going to search for that particular file for me in that folder and it's going to give me. Or now what I will do is, I'll go to my Explorer, the file Explorer, I'm going there. I'm going to a folder called C drive. So there I'm having one folder is there called Intel. There is a folder called Intel there. Here I'll create one file, new. A text file I'll create here. Okay, so that is my, I'll give a file name called apple.java or apple.txt. I'll give a file name called apple.txt. I'm giving a file name. Okay, I think we are doing a mistake there. We are not supposed to give the file extension because it is already extension as .txt file it is. Don't give the extension there. So I've done it. So then I want to type something there. Okay. For example, students of Java class. Okay. So some message I've written there, save it. I'll just close this. Right. Okay, let's go back now. to our Eclipse. I'm going to my Eclipse. Now, where is my file present there? See, C drive, Intel folder. Okay, there I'm having apple.txt file. Now what I will do is I'll give the path here, complete path I'll be giving. It is C colon. Now remember, you have to use double backslash. You have to use. So you're not supposed to use single backslash. Why? It's the escape sequence character. So you have to use double backslash. There, my file is apple.txt is my file there. Understood? I given the path there. And now I'll run my code. So when I run the code, now it says file found is true because the file exists there for me. So it's going to tell me it is true there. Okay. Now let us see the another thing there. I'm just giving a right click on my file. Then I'm selecting the properties of my file. I'm opening the properties of my file. Understood what we did? I'm giving a right click on my file. Then I'm selecting the properties. So when I select the properties, you see the properties of your file is going to show for me. There, it is going to give me size of my file. One of the properties showing is size. So what is the size it shows? 22 bytes. It's going to show me the size. Fine. Okay, I'll go back to my file. Now I want to know what is the size of my file now. Then I'll use a property called length. A method I'm going to use called length. So I want to print the length of my file. That is file size I want to print. File size. Okay, f1.length I'm calling the method. Now let us see what is going to print for us. So we saw there the message was, when I looked into properties of my file, it was showing 22. Now you see the file size is 22.5. Units is what?
22 bytes.
Unit is what? What is unit? You said no, the answer you only told that. Byte. So it is going to return me the value, is it in bytes only? Okay. So it's not going to give us in kilobytes or megabytes. It's going to take only the basic unit it's going to take. It returns me the value in bytes. Now, here we gave the path there, the complete path we are given it. Now, if I want to know the, we have one method is there called absolute path. Okay, we have a method called absolute path, we are having it. So when I'm using this method called absolute path, it gives me the complete path details there. Okay, let us see what is going to print for me in my absolute path. So that's a path of my file, the complete path. Okay, the path I want to give. So let's see the path, what is going to print there. Now you see that the path is C colon Intel apple.txt. That is your path of your file. Now similarly, let us say that, okay, you're using some other file name. If you're not giving the absolute path, you're giving the relative path. Relative path means what? You're not starting with the double backslash. Sorry, you're not starting with C colon there. If you're starting with the C colon, it is said to be an absolute path. If I'm not using C colon, okay, other than that, I'm using it, it's going to be acting as your relative path file. Okay, like that. Yeah, that's how you can find out the absolute path of your file. Now I want to know there is a file or directory I want to find out. Then we already told you what the methods are there called is file, is directory. Okay, so then let us see. I want to know it's a directory or file. Okay, it's a file. So it tells me that the value is going to be yes or no for me. That is file I'm going to use. So I'm calling the method called is file. Okay, let me use one more method in continuation with this one. So I want to check it's a directory or not. It's a directory. So instead of using the is file method, so we can tell is directory. The method is directory, right? Okay. Now let us look into the few more things there. So when I'm giving a right click on my file, and then I'm selecting the properties there. So here you see some more information there. So there is an option, there is an attribute called read only. So there is an attribute called read only, and there is another attribute called hidden. Now I want to know that what do you mean by read only? What do you mean by read only? We can read the contents, but you cannot write anything in it, or you cannot modify any content in that, right? So I want to know that can we write into that particular file? Now we have different permissions we are having for the file. Read permission, write permission is there. So if you want to read the file, you should have a permission called read permission. If you want to write the contents to the file, you should have the write permission should be there. So can I read the data from the file or not? Can I write the data to the file or not? Those content I want to have the permissions I want to know it. Then we can make it of the permissions also, we can check it. Okay. So is it read only? Now I want to check it's a read only or not. So then I'll use the F1 object dot can read. I can use it. So now I'm using a concept when I'm calling a method called can read. Okay. So it will tell me that you can read it or not. Similarly, I want to know that can we write or not? Is it modifiable? Okay. Can we modify or not? Can we modify the contents? So can we modify the contents? That is, instead of using now read, we use, sorry, can write, I'm going to call it. Now let's run program and see what is going to tell me. Yeah. So can we modify the content? It is true. It says. I'll put a colon symbol in between that, the separating character there. Now I'll just run my code. Yeah. It says, is it read only? True, it says. Huh? Okay, we can read the content of it. So it says we can read it. Can we modify it? Yes, it is. Now I'll go back to my contents. Okay, I'll try to open my properties. Okay. So I'll just select the option read only. I'm selecting it. That means what? You can read the contents, but you cannot modify the contents. I'll say okay. Now let's run the code again. Now it says what? Can we modify the content? It is false because you made it as read only. So you cannot modify the content of it. Yeah, that's it. If you want, you can use that one also, right? See, if I'm giving only apple.txt, if I'm giving it, okay, I'm not giving the complete path, I'm not giving it. Then what will happen? The content will be slightly different. The outputs will be different for us. Because the file what you're checking, apple.txt, is not present in your current working directory. That is in your current folder, it is not there. So it's going to give me the value as what? False only. So what about the length? Well, what about the length for it? So length is 0. Now where it is checking? It is checking for me in your C: users, admin, Eclipse workspace, access bank, and then the file name is apple.txt. It is checking the complete file path. This is the location where it is checking. That's why it says that there is something wrong with your file. Now, if I am giving the absolute path for that, then the path is different. You can see the absolute path is C: Intel apple.txt. So it is giving me all the other details. It's going to give me properly. If the file does not exist, it gives me wrong information. You'll be getting it always. ఇప్పుడు నాకు తెలియదు. I don't know this path. I don't know. I just gave my file there. Okay, then I want to know what is the absolute path. It tells you the absolute path. You are not giving the path. You are giving only the file name you are giving. So I'm just giving only the file name I'm giving. Then it will automatically tell me the path and everything is going to print for me.
But file found.
File is not there. So it says false. Where you are verifying that file is that what it is telling. It is telling where you are looking for it. Say, for example, you are searching for something. Okay, you call your friend and say that you are searching for, you lost your book. Okay, let us say in your classroom, you lost the book. So you are searching for that book in some place, you are searching in some classroom. So let us say that your college consists of maybe more than one will be their classroom.
Yes.
Right. Now let us say that you are part of a 4th BTech student. Now you are searching in the 2nd BTech class, you are searching it. Then you call your friend and say that, hey, I'm searching for the file. When my book I'm searching, where it is, it's not there. Then he will ask you where you are present. You will tell I am there in my second year classroom. Then he will, okay, that absolute path is going to tell me you are there in the 2nd year classroom. You are searching for that file in the classroom called the 2nd year. Now let us say that you are there now in the final year, you are going to there. In the 4th year class, you are there. Then it will tell me that you are searching there, it is like that. Okay. So it will give me the location where you are searching for your file. It is. The absolute path is going to be. Right. Okay. So that's how we can make the different methods we have it where it will tell me all the details of your file is going to given from here. Okay. Yeah. So any questions here? Right. We'll continue with this one. Like we have, we'll use we'll use a class called file reader class. We have a method, we have a class called file reader class. Now remember this class called the file reader class, again, it is a part of your IO package only. So as you are similar to the file method, so sorry, file class like this one. So we have another class called the file reader class is there. So this file reader class is a part of your IO package. That is your part of the java.io it is. Okay, it's a part of the IO package. Now, if I want to use it, then again the same story goes on for us. That what is the story? You have to have the import statement has to be written. So in this one, we have a method called read method is there. We have a method called read method. So what is this method called read means? This method called read, it reads a byte of data for me. Okay, it reads a byte of data for me. Okay, and returns the same. And returns the same for us. Let's see what it is exactly we mean. Now, I'll go back to my file. What is that file we created? Apple, right? Okay, I'll just say ask it to open it. So it's going to open for me in my notepad. Fine. Because it's a text file, it's open for me in the this one. So I would like to give the absolute path for it where my file is present. My file is present in my Intel folder. There I'm having a file called apple.txt is there for me. Now, okay, before I move on, I'll just copy this. Yeah, I placed it there. So I don't want to work out with all these things. I don't want to work. I want to work with only with the class called file reader class. I want to work with file reader class. Okay, some object fr I'm using it. It's equal to new file reader. I'm going to call it. So when I'm going to use my file reader class, I'll give the path of my file. So it is there for me in my Intel. Then my file name is apple.txt. So that is my file that I want to read, my contents. Now we know that it's a part of the IO. In that the class name is file reader. I'm using my Control+Shift+O. I'm using it to fix the import errors. Okay, it has removed the dot file and then it has given me only the file reader. It has been changed there. Right. Now I want to see what it is there for me. Then what I'm doing, we said that fr.read method I'm going to call. Okay, so we have the object is fr, then dot read method I called it. So let us run the code and check what it is going to return for me. You see that it's going to give me what 115 it is going to give. But I want to print the character there. So you can convert this one to the character. So to have the char conversion, you can call the explicit conversion. I'm using it called the char there. Okay. So you see that what it is printing? Yes, it is giving it. Let us verify the what is there. Yeah, the first character is yes, right? Okay. I got the first character there. I want to get the one more character I want to get. I want to get the one more character I want to get. Okay. So once again, I'm using my read method. So when I run it, now you see, yes, T you're getting. That is actually when you look into your file, the first one is S, the second one is T. Like this, how many characters are there? It's a simple line is there. So you can tell me how many characters are there in that. Then what we do is we need to repeat it so many times. You have to repeat it. To print all the characters, you have to repeat so many times how many characters are there. If I don't know how many characters are there, then this method is what? This method, you cannot rely on this way of doing things. What? Okay. Then what happens is when I'm going to use my read method, when I'm going to use it, yeah, when you're going to use the read method, it returns me the byte there. Now remember, when no more contents are there, okay, when no more contents, that is, so when it has completed reading it, that is, it has completed reading all the characters, okay. It has completed reading all the characters from your file. Then what will happen? It returns -1. It returns -1. It returns me -1 for me. Then what we call it as EOF, you call it as, it's called the end of file. We say at the end of the file. At the end of the file, when you have completed reading the content of your file, that is at the end, it is going to return you -1. Now, I don't know how many characters are there. I want to keep on reading all the characters it has to do with. We said what at the end, what it is going to do? It's going to give me at the end -1. You want to repeat it for multiple times. Then what command you'll use? You'll use the loops, will be using it, right? I want to use the loops. So which loop I want to use it? I feel that it's the better is go with the while loop, or you can go with a for loop. Whatever the loop you want, you can go with. No issues there. But how long I want to read it? I want to read till the end of my file. That is, while the value of read is not equal to -1. Okay, so fr value is not equal to -1. So I want to read the character, but I want to put it into my variable beyond to print it. So what I do is I'll take some variable called ch. I'm going to take it. Okay, then while I'll read the character and I'll put into the ch variable, and then that is not equal to -1. So what I do is I'll put the whole thing into parentheses. So you read and put the character into ch, and then while the ch value is not equal to -1, then okay, so you have read the character and you want to print it onto the screen. Now you call the ch variable, you print it here. String is same అవుతుంది. String means what? Set of characters. Set of characters. How many characters it will be returning for me? Only one character is going to return for me. Now see, that's what happened. Now you see students of Java class, it is printing. Huh? Okay. Now you don't want ln, so you want only printer. Okay, you remove this. So you'll print everything in a one line. You can also use printf, also can be made use of. How do you use the printf? Printf, we have to have the formatting has to be done. It is %c. Okay, the formatting you have to do it. Okay, so that's how you're going to print the characters. But remember, when I'm going to completing the reading of the file is being done, it's a good practice is always close the file. So you need to close the file, right? Okay, and one more thing, important thing here you have to remember is, so when I'm going to use my read method, now let us say that you have done some mistake. I'll just copy the code. Now let us say we are doing some mistake there. What is the mistake we have done? I have given a file name, which is not there for me. Okay, I'll give apple1.txt, I gave it. And then I run my code. So we are not getting false or something. What it is doing? So you are trying to open a file, okay, and you're trying to read the content of it. So then what will happen? It says that, so there is something what you call the error is there for me. It cannot find the specified file, it says. So here what it is doing, it is giving its own message, but I don't want that message to come. Then, so what I do is I'll make use of my try block. I'll write it. Say I'm trying to read a file. Okay, it was there, it was working for me. Now the file is not there, it will give me the error, right? Okay, then so instead of allowing Java to print whatever it wants it, now what I'm doing is I'm giving a message of my own there. So I'm giving the exception, they catch that. So what it is going to do with, so I'm just making up the base class called exception class. Okay, and then using this, I want to print the message onto the screen. System.out.println error in the file. Error in the file. Okay, just I'm giving a message error in the file. I'm just running it. Now it says error in the file. So earlier Java told you so many different 5-6 lines of code, I mean error it has given for us. Okay, which I'm not able to understand. I'm just giving a simple message error in the file so that the user also can understand. Okay, something wrong with your file or something like that. Okay. Now you want to print also, you want to print the Java message also, you want to print it. Then you can also print the Java message also can be printed. So how do I get my Java message? We know that earlier we have seen that you are going to use your my salary exception. So we give that message, right? That message will be stored in your EE object. You can say that EE object, you can call it. So you can simply say Java message. Okay. Java message, I'm calling it. Now let's run and check. It's going to show me that error in my file. What is the message that is given by Java? So it could not find the specified file. Okay. If you feel that you give the message better it is, yes, you give it. Or if you feel that the messages are being generated by your Java is better for you, you can use that message as you wish. Any messages can be made use of. Okay. Any questions? మొత్తమే కదా read చేసాం. We have read the complete content only. You understood this? See, what you can do is you can also make use of the file class can also be made use of. So you can use the file class. Okay, some object. It's equal to new file. You can give it, and you can give the path there. So what is that path? C:// okay, Intel / sorry. So my apple.txt. Now I'm doing like this. Now here, earlier what we did, we gave the path here, right? Now it's not necessary to give a path. Now what you can do is you can use that F1 object only you can use. The object which you have created, no, that you pass as an argument for that one. Okay, then you can do the reading of it. Okay, fine. What is it wrong? Cannot be resolved to a typo. Okay, why is that? The import statement is missing. Okay, I just fixed the import. I run my code now. So we got the content. Okay, import statement is missing for us for the file block. Sorry, for the file class. Okay, so I fixed that. So we got that done. Okay, this is one method you can do it. Now, how many of you remember previously we used one class called scanner class? You remember that class? What is that class? What is the use of the scanner class? Very good. Then I'll use a variable called object. Okay, obj, I'm using a variable. It's equal to new. Okay, let us use the same class. Okay, object name only we'll use. So Why you want to have the confusion for it? Yeah. So for the scanner class, what we did? For the scanner class, what we did? We asked it. We asked the scanner class to read the data from 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 in we have used, right? We asked it to read the data from system.in. So what is this system.in? What is this system.in? It's a it's a variable. In is a variable which is associated with the device called. It is associated with the device called keyboard. Able to understand what I'm telling? We are giving system.in as an argument to my scanner class. That means we are telling that in is an object which is associated with keyboard. So when I ask it to read the data, so what is doing? Scanner class is doing? Scanner class is waiting for the data to be given from the keyboard, right? You remember we said scanner class can also be to read the data from devices like keyboard, or you can read the data from network, or we can read the data from a file also we can read it. Now let us see. I have given a file there. Okay, the object is F1. Now when I say that I'm using the scanner class there, so when I'm using my scanner class, what will happen? It will try to read the data from, when we use system.in, it used to wait for the keyboard, for the message, the data to be keyed in through the keyboard. Now what I'm doing, I'm giving F1 there. So F1 is what? It's an object of the type 5. Now when I give that one, so what will happen? Your program, your scanner class will try to read data from the object called F1. Okay, understood what I said? No? Okay, now to have the thing here, so in this class, in this file, I'm having only one simple line is there. I'll add few more lines, I'll be adding to that. So what I will do is, I'll add few more lines. Some lines I'll add. Okay. These lines I will add to this. I'll just copy these lines. Okay. Understand what I'm doing? I want to add more lines to it. Okay, then I save this one. Okay. Why it is asking me to save as? Can you guess why it is asking save as? Because we made the file as read only, we made the file. So I'll just open the properties of it. I'll remove the read only. I'll just make it okay. Then now I'll go back to my notepad. I'll save my file. I've saved it. Okay. In notepad, we have saved the file. Now we'll go back to our program. Now it's giving me the message for the scanner class. I'll fix the import part there. Now I want to read the data from the scanner object. So how do you read one word? One word I want to read from the using the scanner class. How to read a word? If I'm using next, what will happen? If I use next, what will happen? So you forgot, right? Very good, very good. Why? When I use next, what will happen? Okay, for the online students, what happened? So I want to read the till the end of my file. So I said that what? It is not equal to null because we are reading the strings, right? So at the end, there are no more strings will be there, no more word will be there. So it returns me the null value. I'm asking to read up to the end of my file. I'm going to do it. Okay. So read. It is read until end of my file. Now comes a question, important thing. When I look into the content of my file, when I look in, so here it says was students of Java class it is. So what happened? Students it is giving me, then off it is giving Java class, everything is going good. But the spaces which are there, no, that are missing. Why? Why the spaces are missing? We are reading what? Word by word we are reading. Next, when I'm using a method called next, it reads only word. So what is it next after that space is there, right? It will ignore that space, it will be ignoring it space. Now if I want to read the complete line, then next, right? Okay, I'll be using a method called next line method. I'm going to use it. So when I use my next line method, you see, it's going to be students of Java class. That exceptions, everything what is happening is printing in the same line. No, I don't want it to print in the same line. I want to print it on a different line. I want to print. I want to use print ln. I'll be using it. Now run. You see? Okay, students are Java class. Okay. No line found. Okay. Why we are getting it? Okay, we'll discuss this, right? You got this? You understood what we did here? So what we did now? So we are we're opening a file by using the file object. And then that object I'm giving as an argument to my scanner class. And then I'm trying to read till the end of my file for me. Okay. That's it. Okay. We'll do one thing. We'll be continuing again, and tomorrow's class will continue. We'll stop here.